Hey, so today we're going to try something different because I got the scans for that first roll of film that I shot once I actually loaded it properly and shot film. So I've only looked at the first one or two of these to make sure that they worked, and we're going to go through them here, and you can see my actual reaction to these photos. These aren't necessarily going to be the best photos I ever took. Partly they were just testing to see how the camera works, but yeah, let's see what we got. So this is the first one here. I'm not sure if this was because I was trying to take a shot before the first official frame or if this was me messing up and trying to get the film loaded correctly, but clearly that's wrong. Here's a much nicer version. I really like these colors. It's a little bit like the Fujifilm Classic Chrome setting, where it's kind of contrasty but a little bit desaturated. This film was Portra 400, by the way. This is one of the ramps up in that same area. It's a metal ramp, but it's worn in enough that it's not super slippery, but it's very steep and very tall. This is a playground for a nearby school for small children. It's a surprisingly tall and steep ramp for a child's playground. Another shot at the ramp. A lot of these pictures I realize are also not going to be super level because I'm used to on the digital camera having the level indicator actually on the screen. A little line turns green when the camera is level, where on this camera I don't have any of that. This is my beloved tiny park covered in water like it is most of the time. Over here is where a lot of people learn to drop in. That's why it's so worn there and not so much everywhere else. Got a nice close-up on it. You can see all this texture and the moisture and all the paint wearing away because that's where almost everyone does almost all of their tricks because it's the lowest spot. So this is one of the flat ground places that we use when the skate parks are already full, but we still wanted to skate some that day when it's dry. This day, of course, it was not at all dry, but it makes a sort of a nice picture. I'm pretty sure the shutter speed was a little bit too fast on this. This is just another view of the same spot. I think I maybe noticed that the shutter speed was wrong and then corrected it for this shot because this one looks a little better to me. Like I've said before, it's definitely kind of weird to get used to the fact that the camera doesn't indicate any of your settings when you're looking through the viewfinder. So it's easy to forget that, oh, actually you changed your shutter speed for this other picture and now it's wrong. This is out in the industrial area we walk in. This nice big sort of muck pond. I thought it was a nice sort of blurry reflection of the building in the water, but it also looks like industrial wasteland because it's just this big patch of mud around buildings. These were the shots to test the focus blur with the lens. So here I'm focusing on the buildings behind the grass and you can see the tall grass here is very blurry. Looks kind of nice, I think. And here's the opposite where we focused on this blade of grass here and then the buildings behind get extra blurry. I think this looks even better. This is almost like a desktop background. This might actually be nice for that. The sunlight was really harsh that day, and I didn't think to bring any white paper to use as a reflector. Otherwise, I would have put a reflector so that this side of her face would be lit up a little more, so you don't have this quite harsh light and dark. But, that's what happens when you don't bring all of your stuff with you when you go to take pictures. We use this alleyway so that the sunlight wouldn't be quite so direct, but I figured these buildings are pretty light colored, so some light would get reflected, and it might still look nice. And it definitely, the attention goes directly to her face because we have all these lines kind of pointing right at it. And her face is so lit up compared to how dark everything is around here, and even her coat. This is her trying to look more artsy, I guess. Because this lens is only manual focus, there's definitely a little bit of delay when I go to take a picture. And this is kind of a challenge for Anna because she's used to the picture process going a lot faster. And so here I would aim at her and mess with the focus. And she didn't necessarily know when I was going to take the shot, and I often didn't give her warning. So it's not her fault. Here I messed up the focus. This is starting to remind me of pictures we had in her childhood. I'm not sure why I took this picture. Because even if you rotate it, it doesn't look like anything. I don't know. I must have had some idea here, but it was clearly not a good one. These are the pictures I took as part of the reenactment of messing up the film that I filmed before. I didn't really expect this to be an especially good picture. I just needed to take pictures for the video. Yeah, maybe I should have stopped this down just a little bit so that you could actually see more of the detail of the water here. But it's kind of all almost white. I think maybe the detail got lost there. Oh, this one I actually kind of like. Got the super blurry building behind us and the detail on this rock in front. You wouldn't really expect to see these two things next to each other, this like harsh angled rock and an apartment building, but they put these on the playground for some reason for the kids. It's pretty tall, so it's not even like small children can climb on it that easily. I don't know what they were doing. This is out on our epic 26-kilometer walk. Again, the photo is not level because I don't have a level indicator handy, but you could probably straighten this and not lose too much. Oh, wow. So this bunker-looking toilet setup would have been an interesting picture, except for stupid me was blocking part of the lens with my hand for some reason. Here we have a coffee vendor who set up at the park just out of the back of his truck with a little canopy. I think the light meter saw how bright it was back here and not how relatively dark it is up here. I was probably aiming at the wrong thing because this could have been a little bit lighter, but maybe I can do that in post. I'm not sure what I was thinking here. I thought this would turn out better than it did. It's basically just a lot of wood. So there was this big park at the halfway point of our long walk, and a lot of it looks pretty nice and is green and stuff, but there's parts like this that are, I guess, in progress. They're busy building it into something. So this is all just mud and bank and this brand new looking bridge they just put in. Good that they're doing maintenance, I guess. This is a much nicer picture of Anna. It's a nice blurry background. It almost looks like it was painted or something in the background. It's kind of nice. This I wish I had gotten closer, but horses riding surrounded by all this cityscape stuff I thought was kind of interesting, but this is very common in the Netherlands. A lot of these big parks have where you can ride horses through them. There's often stables in the park or on the edge of the park. This is not something I would have seen growing up in Oklahoma. One thing people complain about with Dutch parks is how manufactured they are. So all these trees are nice and straight and evenly spaced to make this nice wall of trees, which especially look bad when it's all dead, so it's not covered up by green. I thought it matched nicely with these fence posts. Another one where silly me is blocking the lens, but there's just some random neighborhood of houseboats out in the middle of nowhere that we passed. I'm also not sure what I was focusing on because it all looks kind of blurry. Oops. Wow, how many of these am I going to block the lens on? This one house we passed had a drawbridge for the moat that disconnected it from the rest of the area. It looks very handmade. This I'm pretty sure I should have made lighter. Shutter speed mess up. If it wasn't for this box here, this would actually be kind of a nice shot. It's very hip and modern, massive apartment block. You don't see these anywhere near the center of Amsterdam, for example, but if you go outside of the city, they have these all over the place. I have a photo of this building before when they were making a lot less progress. I thought this would be interesting. It's not really. So at some point on the way home, we needed to cross this sidewalk here, and you can see how everyone else had the same idea to walk up and down this sidewalk. There's no way to go down this path here and get to our house because there's a canal up ahead, and this is the only crossing unless you want to go much further south to go around. So we ended up walking through the grass and having to look out for lots and lots of dog poop. This sort of looks like, well, yeah, I think we're at the end of the roll. This looks like an accidental double exposure where I thought it was advancing to the next shot and apparently it didn't. So note to self, don't make any important pictures at the end of a roll. Yeah, this is more accidental double exposure. Yeah, I guess we're just at the end of the roll and it was all messed up and wasn't advancing properly. Oops. This one turned out okay, except for yet again, I'm blocking my own lens. I don't do this so often on the digital camera. I don't know why I did it so many times here. But this guy just decided that this was a good place to park right here when this is definitely not a parking space. Wow, I tried to take a better picture of this and still I blocked part of the lens. So that's all the pictures, and thanks for having a look. And sorry that some of them are not very good at all. But this is my first time taking pictures in a long time where you can't just immediately see the results and say, oh, you messed up that picture, take another picture. But thanks for looking with me, and we'll see you tomorrow.